Hello, Bishop William Joensen of the Diocese of Des Moines on this day where the U.S. Supreme Court, as anticipated, has released its decision in the Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization, in effect overturning Roe versus Wade and returning the abortion legalization decisions back to the individual states. This is obviously something that for many of us have been praying for decades. It offers a glimmer of hope that the defense of rights for all life, from conception to natural death, will be upheld, and that the work and mission of the church, the work and mission of our society to protect the most vulnerable, to give a place and to welcome those who are simply trying to immigrate from the womb to the world, a rightful place among us in our communities and in our country. And so obviously there's going to be some heated reaction to this. It's going to be stirred, but we're looking for perspectives that might maybe open us up to realize how perhaps this is a decision that is ever more pro-woman and pro-respectful of the rights and places of women in our society. I'm happy to be joined by Jessica Hernandez of our Des Moines Diocese Office of Youth Hispanic Ministry. Just wondering, your response and your kind of overall reaction.
Yeah, I love the phrase of migrate from the womb to the world, and I myself immigrated to the U.S., and just to think that all the help that I had coming here, to know that there is hope for those moms that find themselves in vulnerable situations. My mom was a single mom migrating here, and if she wouldn't have had help from the church, then, who knows where we would have been. But we had a right to obtain that help and those resources in order for us to have a better life. And I can't imagine not having that for someone that doesn't even have a voice, in these cases, the unborn, or someone who is in a vulnerable situation, those like moms that are, victims of, certain situations, or just really not knowing.
Or men have taken advantage of them, yes. Or men are abandoning them, perhaps, yes. Once they find out that there's a pregnancy involved.
Right, and all those, pregnancy centers, and just the help that they are able to get, not just for the unborn child, but for them, mentally, their well-being as a whole, as a human person, both lives, the mom and the unborn.
So it's really your lived experience here, yes. And you can relate, and it's something that sometimes people of faith are caricatured as caring only for those in the womb, and kind of shrugging our shoulders after that point, but in fact it was quite the opposite for you.
That's correct. Yeah, I think we always the church has always helped those that are living already a certain life, then maybe need to have a better life in one way or another, and the church stands behind and supports those people. And I was one of those, my mom was one of those, so it's never always just about one life or the other, it's about both lives.
Now I happen to know that both of us have a life science background, yes. As well. You were microbiology at Iowa State and everything else, so from a scientific perspective, do you think that this flaunts science, or that those who are saying that in some way, this is a woman's body, the woman should have right to dispose her body as she sees fit? What would be your response to that?
No, it's God and science go together, and science in itself, I read something today that said, before I was a young adult woman, I was a teenager. Before I was a teenager, I was a toddler. Before I was a toddler, I was a baby. Before I was a baby, I was a fetus. And the science of it in itself, the natural way of how things come to be, that's where it starts. DNA, that's where the life begins. It's not any time after the womb. It starts way beforehand. So I think it's a victory for science as well. So, in my opinion,
I concur.
Yes.
Yeah, I do too. We say kind of the slogan "Follow the science," but I think basic developmental biology would kind of ratify a lot of what's being said here as well.
Definitely.
Too. This sense then that the church is just one of those organizations. Obviously, many pregnancy resource centers and everything else. You're not the spokesperson for all persons Hispanic, but what's the general instinct of faith and the general attitude among people, whether they're native born but people of the Hispanic community and perhaps other immigrant people? Yeah,
we come from countries that have been also fighting for a right to life. They're in many of these other countries, Mexico and other Latin American countries. There's been a fight for quite some time as well, where this victory for life, we also rejoice in it as well, because we know that in those countries there are very much less resources than there are here, and we've seen firsthand how many moms have to have gone outside even their own countries to find the help that they need. So it's a victory. It's rejoicing all in all. And, those countries that have very low resources, not just for moms, but for everyone that is living there currently. And like I said, I am a living being of that, an example of that. So definitely among the Hispanic community, and just anybody that has felt not represented and not, without a voice, then definitely this is also a victory for us.
Now, I happen to know that you're planning to get married. August 5th, I believe, is the great date.
Yes.
So congratulations
Thank
on
you.
that. Do you see the fact of getting married as shifting or changing your sense of the respect for human life, or making you more ardent? Or was there ever a time where you could see and maybe empathize more with the women who were seeking to have abortions?
No, I think it's always been from my example that I had from my mom, and marriage and the unity of two people coming together to just procreate, but not just procreate, but there's parents that are parents, spiritual parents to those that maybe are not able to have kids, and I've seen both. So just two people coming together to fight for life, whether that is naturally, biologically, but also spiritually. I think that's the true meaning of marriage in itself, and the union, to come together and fight for life in all forms.
Okay. Well, again, today is a day where we do give thanks for the Dobbs decision. We recognize, though, that any celebration will be short-lived, as the real work continues to accompany families, women, and their children from this day forward, to continue to press for legislation here in the state of Iowa and in other places as well that will uphold the right to life for all human persons. So thank you for taking time with us, Jessica Hernandez.
Thank you.